Hi, I'm Tracy Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this series of mini animal communications. I've got the ping from some of my animal friends to start offering these as things in the world started shutting down with regards to the coronavirus and everybody being kind of on lockdown. I had several of my animal friends kind of ping me and be like, hey, Tracy, do this so we can share our wisdom with the world. So these little animal communication sessions are between 10 to 20 minutes and are for animals who feel like they want to share their wisdom with the world. So today we're going to be talking with kitty cat named Linus. Let me pull up his picture for you here. All right, there's Linus. So I've never talked to Linus before. The information I have is that he's no longer living. I'm not sure how old he was or how long ago he passed away, but just kind of as a little general background knowledge, the way it kind of works for me with animal communication is, it's kind of similar to talking to humans, where maybe the first time you talk to them, you kind of have to find the right pathway in. Another example I use is, say you're visiting a town for the first time and maybe you're staying in an Airbnb or a hotel and you're starting to learn your way around the landscape. You're finding your way to the grocery store, you're finding your way to, your favorite tourist attractions. And the first time you go there, it might feel a bit unfamiliar and like, oh, where are we going? But after you've done those pathways several times, it becomes very familiar. And it's kind of the same with animal communication. So sometimes when I'm talking to an animal for the first time, it's kind of like finding your way to the grocery store for the first time. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes I'm able to connect right in, but that's just kind of a little bit of background. So I'm going to go ahead and get quiet and start tuning in to Linus. And a reminder to anybody who's watching, if you're on Zoom, there is a chat box. There should, if you look at the bottom bar, it should say chat. And if you have any questions for Linus, you can type them in there. If you're watching live on Facebook, you can also enter into the comments and let us know if you have questions for Linus. Okay, so I'm just getting quiet and tuning in. So the first thing that comes forward is this kind of sense of humor thing from Linus. He's like, did you wear your orange shirt today for me? I don't think I did it quite intentionally, Linus, although I do really love orange kitties. So Linus, thanks for connecting with me today. It feels like you knew that we were gonna chat today. So I'm wondering is there anything you want to share about yourself or just anything about the world in general, your views, how things are going? So what I feel with Linus is there's this real lightness and I feel more of his spirit. Linus, I wonder if you're incarnated right now. It kind of feels to me like you're maybe off in the spirit world yet. Yeah, he's showing himself as still being in the afterlife. He's saying, this is not a good time for me to incarnate on Earth. Okay. Do you want to say more about that? He's showing himself as like a lion that's watching its prey. You know how sometimes they'll sit hiding in the grass for, well, it could seem like hours and hours. They just sit really still and watching. Linus is showing that's kind of what he's doing right now with his next incarnation. Like there's this sense of waiting and not really sure So what do you mean about this not being a good time? Is it because of the coronavirus or something else with you? It's like, oh no, nothing to do with the coronavirus. Like that kind of stuff doesn't worry me as far as like incarnating. Okay, why is it not a good time for you to incarnate right now then? He's showing, so I see his body and I see the energy around his body, and there's like this, all this movement of the energy around his body. And he's saying, I'm still in transition. What does that mean, Linus? Yeah, it means I'm not really sure where I'm going next. Yeah, he's showing me like this graph of like, it almost kind of looks like a stock market chart, like things going up, 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 bing, and like there's this high point. He's like, I really hit this high point with Linda, with my last human that I lived with. So what he's showing is like, it almost feels like like a graduation from middle school, or maybe a graduation from high school. Like, wow, I really learned a lot from my last owner, and we really did a lot of work together. And bing, it's like I hit this threshold of like, wow, I get to do the next level of things in my next incarnation because I was so successful in my mission with Linda. I get to stay in the afterlife longer this time because of that. And like he really feels it as a celebration. Like there's this opportunity for him to take his work as an animal on earth to this next level, and he's really in this state of preparing for that, and he feels quite excited about it. Thank you, Linus. We've actually, this week it seems like we've been talking to a lot of animals in the afterlife, and they've all had really interesting things to say. So thank you, Linus. We really appreciate your point of view. All right, so I'm going to check and see if we have any questions here from anyone, either on Facebook or in the chat. Any questions for Linus? All right, I'm not seeing any questions right now, but if you have any, feel free to pop them right in the chat box there or in the comments on Facebook. All right, so Linus, tell us what else you'd like for people to know about you, or do you have any, words of wisdom for the humans down here during this pandemic? Things have gotten really kind of shaken up down here. What I feel is he's showing like there's this, so here's a physical human or animal body down here, and he's showing like you have to look at it from a higher perspective. It's almost like the energy kind of pulls up and he's watching something from a higher vantage point. All the stuff that's going on down here, it's just it's it can stir you up, it can get your emotions going. But if you're able to pause and like, he's really showing us like a separation from the physical drama stuff going on down here, and really watching and seeing how things are happening from a higher perspective. Okay, Linus, I think I understand what you're saying. That might be a little bit challenging for some people down here in the human world. Do you have any suggestions for them? Hmm. Well, he keeps showing this, it's almost like a point above of pulling your energy into. I'm not sure if that really makes sense to people out there, but Linus, could you show me a little bit more about that? I think there's something I'm missing in what you're saying. He says, well, if you have a hard time doing that at first, that it can be really beneficial to instead of taking something from a quote unquote higher perspective, take it from somebody else's perspective, like maybe somebody that you really admire, somebody in your spiritual or religious tradition, like you really, like, okay, what would it be like, somebody you admire, whose opinion you respect, what would it be like to view the situation from that point of view? So instead of like trying to switch to your higher self, which for some people that might be kind of difficult, what if you switch to a different person's perspective? He's showing there are, you know, tons, and I see this on my own Facebook feed too, like tons of spiritual people offering help and giving perspective during this time of the coronavirus. And a lot of us could really use those tools. He's really happy there are so many people putting out so many different things, because it allows different people who resonate with different things to plug into the right place that will help them kind of shift their perspective. Thanks, Linus. That makes sense to me. Okay, we got a question from Kim here. And Linus, she wants to know, what sort of goals and intentions do animals tend to have for their incarnation? Or can he be articulate, or can you articulate what your goals were for your last incarnation as Linus? What do you want to share with us about that, Linus? He's showing it's not always the same, that, you know, that the individual animals that are incarnating usually have a very specific or intention or mission, he's calling it, for their incarnation. And he's like, there's no one thing, but he is showing like he's really pointing to the heart center. And there's a lot of animals, he says, that they really come to work with the hearts of humans. It's very, very common. His belief is that the majority of, especially domestic animals that come in to live with humans and expect to live their life with humans, they do tend to have more of a heart-focused kind of mission, he says, but that's not always true. Like he's showing some animals that have a lot to do with, he's showing me like belly energy, the kind of energy where it's like, I'm going to stand up for myself, or I'm not going to let you push me around. Show again, please, Linus. It's like there are a lot of animals, like he's showing like there are kind of different energy centers or channels throughout the body. He's saying that domestic animals have a lot of resonance with, you know, what might be considered the heart energy or the heart chakra. And a lot of us come to work with that, but it could be, he's showing me what you might think of as the traditional or kind of standard chakra system, which I don't think there really is a standard one there. It seems to kind of vary between traditions, but you know, that image of like a yogi sitting with the different highlights of the chakras. And he's saying we can work with any of those, and sometimes we choose. He's showing, ooh, like he's really highlighting the third eye area right now too, that animals can really, really work with intuition. Like it's not just about the heart, and it depends on the individual or the individual human that the animal is coming in to be with, as to what their lessons might be. It's not always the same. Linus, do you want to talk about your incarnation as Linus? So what I feel is the heart center highlighted, and I see this purple color kind of radiating out. And what he's showing is as it radiates out, so there's the specific frequency that he's been working with, heart energy, and the specific frequency that he puts out actually then resonates with these other frequencies. It almost creates like a harmony on an energetic level. He said that's a lot of what I was working with in the incarnation as Linus. Yeah, he's showing his human Linda, and the way her heart is vibrating. That now, instead of just being like right here, more like just in the chest area, that the work that he did with her really allowed her to vibrate out in all these different directions. This the specific heart frequency, he said, I was really like trying to get her to understand holding her heart in this particular frequency because of the way, like the work that she does in the world. Then if she can hold her heart in that way, that it can create this resonance kind of vibration with other people and help bring their hearts to a more harmonious vibration level, is what he's saying. Wow, that's really cool, Linus. All right, I'm checking to see if we have any more questions for Linus. This is really cool, Linus. I'm so glad you're sharing all of this with us. So reminding you, if you have questions, definitely type them into the chat. Linus, is there anything else? We're getting towards the end of our time here, but I wonder if there's anything else you'd like to share with us, Linus? Any messages of wisdom you'd like to pass on to the world out there? We've got another question from Kim who's saying, can you talk about how animals tend to work with families? He says, well, not all animals work with families. Sometimes they do come in specifically to work with a family unit, but a lot of times it will be, they will come in and have a specific mission with a specific person, and the person may happen to belong to a family. And so in that case, their mission might be more focused on the one individual, but it actually resonates out to the whole family. So what he's showing is when we work with families, it is a little bit different because we're not holding the energy. When we're doing the individual work with the individual and the family, there's something very specific that we're holding for that specific human, and it's kind of like that just radiates out to the rest of the group in some ways. But when we're holding for a family, it's more like he's showing, okay, so if the family is standing here in a circle, there's something like, okay, maybe my mission is to help bring this family closer together. And so like I'm holding an energetic thing above the family. And it's like this energetic center, or the way I'm holding things above, lets it, like I see it's sort of like an upside down cone, or maybe like a teepee, the way he's holding this point at the top, and then it radiates down to the whole family. Is it common to work with whole families, Linus? He's saying some animals are more suited to it. He's pointing at horses for some reason, which like in my mind like doesn't quite make sense, but he's saying that that horses are they hold a different, they're working with hearts in different ways, is what Linus says, and they're able to hold families in a much different way than dogs or cats. Yeah, he really feels like people who have the opportunity to interact with horses are very, very lucky. If you happen to be a family that a horse is holding something for you, you are very, 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 very lucky, is what Linus says. Thank you, Linus. Are you considering coming back as a horse in this next life? Well, it's a possibility, he says. Okay, thank you so much, Linus. I see we're kind of coming to the end of our time here today. So I'm gonna stop sharing your picture. Oh wait, we've got one more question from your human Linda. Let's do one more question, Linus, if you're up for it. So Linda would like to know, is there a message or something for us humans that we can learn from this situation with the coronavirus? So he's showing the like the earth kind of spinning, and he's showing it's slowing down, like in a metaphorical kind of way, like the spinning of instead of it's slowing down. Linus is advising this is time for observation. This is time, this isn't necessarily for like, we gotta get stuff done. It's more like, he's showing it like as a sigh. Now, there's a lot of us who've just been working crazy hard, and it gives us a chance to slow down. He's kind of pointing his finger at me like, Tracy, you definitely need this lesson of allowing yourself to be present in the slowing down rather than thinking, oh, this is my opportunity to get a bunch of stuff done that, you know, oh, I'm going to finish my to-do list that's 10 years long or whatever. He's like, that's really not what he sees as being most beneficial for people during this time, but allowing ourselves to kind of embrace the slowness, embrace the unusual circumstances, and to really kind of, he's showing like this fountain kind of coming out of that. Like there's a fountain of information, knowledge, knowing yourself, spiritual development that can really come from this time period if you can embrace the slowness. Thanks, Linus. All right, thank you, Linus. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. Linus, wow, you were a very, very chatty kitty. Sometimes the animals just really get on a roll and get going, and it's almost like I can't speak as quickly as they're sending me the message, and I really kind of felt that way with Linus here today. So if you're intrigued by all of this and you're interested to have a little free mini animal communication session of your own, you can send me a message on whatever platform you happen to be viewing this on, or you can head over to my website at tracy-pierce.com and send me a message through the contact form. All right, thanks so much for joining me here today, and until next time, take care and be well.